Hi, I'm Lizzie Gutteridge from the Shawm shop, and today I'm going to tell you about our Renaissance Alto Shawms. The Alto Shawm is the most common size that you found between the 15th century and the 17th, so you see a lot of paintings of bands where there are two altos. For example, you get soprano and two altos in the 15th century, and then when the larger instruments are invented you get soprano, two altos and a tenor or a sackbut. And then later on, towards the end of the 16th century going into the 17th, you quite often see the Alto Shawm is still there in a mixed wind band ensemble with cornetti on the top, maybe a bass curtal on the bottom. So it was really a survivor. And it's also a survivor in the sense that there are plenty of originals out there in museums still to be copied. The originals that are there tend to be fairly small, so not only are they built in 7-figure G rather than F, which you might be expecting if you're used to recorders, but they're also at high pitch. Wind pitch was often at least a semitone higher than we're used to with modern pitch today. So we're talking about an instrument that actually might have sounded in modern G sharp as its bottom note. Our Shawms are in either 7-figure G or 7-figure F, but at modern pitch at A440. So this is a little bit bigger than the originals, and this is quite a lot bigger than the originals. Renaissance Alto Shawms like this are actually part of a family of instruments that on mainland Europe are known as the pommer or the bombard as opposed to the shawm. In that system the shawm is a keyless instrument, usually a bit smaller, so soprano sized, and with a large bell with lots of tone holes in it, whereas the pommer, like this, will have an ambidextrous key, so you can play it with your hands either way up, using your little finger on either side, with a fontanelle, which is the key cover with the holes in it, and just two holes in the bell unless it's an extended instrument with extra notes down the bottom like the bass or the extended tenor. Our instrument on the outside is actually based on the painting The Garden of Earthly Delights from Hieronymus Bosch, which shows incredibly clearly an alto shawm with these lines on it here and the two concentric circles of holes in the fontanelle. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a comparison between the two sizes of the instruments, the G alto and the F alto, so that if you're thinking about buying one of these and you're not sure which one's going to be right for you, you'll have a bit more information to go on, because they've each got their pros and cons. So starting with the G alto, this is the smaller of the two, and it's the one that I play the most. On the upside, it's nimbler and freer blowing, so by that I mean it's much easier to play quickly on an instrument that is a bit smaller. There's less delay in the articulation than the fingering. It has a wide range, so on a good day 2 octaves, and the sound can be shaped relatively easily, so you can do some dynamic shaping on this. On the downside, it's in G fingerings, so if you haven't already learned these for a G treble recorder, you would need to learn either to read in G fingerings, so 3 fingers will give you a D, 7 fingers will give you a G, and so on. Or you need to transpose all your music so that it looks like it's in F fingerings and you can just carry on playing. The other thing is that a lot of music out there is written in flat keys, which don't fit on here anyway, so quite often you would have to change the key of the original music to get it to fit, and that's what people were doing back in the 15th, 16th centuries. They were quite often reading in one key but playing in another. With the F alto, on the other hand, you don't have to worry about those pesky transpositions, so you can read straight off the page on a lot of original material, and the fingering is very similar to treble recorder, bass recorder, the bottom register of the clarinet, all those instruments where C is 3 fingers and F is 7 fingers. On the downside, it's quite a large stretch for the fingers and it's relatively heavy to hold up, so you need to be a little bit stronger and you need to know that you've got quite a large hand span. I'm lucky, I've got long fingers, but not everybody is actually able to reach all the holes on these. And it's a little bit harder to play high and to play fast on these as well. Okay, to finish off I'm going to play you a tune on both instruments, the same tune, so that you can hear how each one sounds side by side, starting with the G alto.